Hello, and welcome to today's live chapter reading of Petty's Crime, Satan Devils MC Las Vegas number 3, written by Manda Mellett, presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Prologue. Clark! Uh-uh. Even at 4 years old, I know only too well what it means when my father snaps in that tone. I sniffle and brush a hand under my snotty nose, knowing I've disappointed him. Clark? Daddy leans over the top of the couch. Ah, there you are. What are you doing hiding behind there? I wanted to say, duh, hiding, but keep that thought in my head as he uses his body to shove the couch forward a few inches, then folds his tall frame in half and manages to slide in next to me. He glances around as if to assess the suitability of my sanctuary. My daddy, my hero. I sniffle again. I'm not frightened of him hitting me. He'd never do that. But somehow his disapproval hurts more than the smacks my friends are given to their backsides. I know an apology is warranted, so sniffing once more, I say the words, I'm sorry. Oh, Clark, he murmurs quietly. You've got some adaptations to make, huh? I don't completely understand what he means, though the sentiment isn't lost. Mommy and Daddy had warned me for ages that one day they were going to bring a new sister home. I watched Mommy's tummy growing bigger and bigger, and even felt excitement when I felt Layla kick inside of her. Now, I know I'd had no idea what the reality would be. I'd thought she'd just be there, much like the old dog we had before he got too old and disappeared from our lives. I didn't think she'd make many changes to my well ordered life. But as soon as Mommy had brought Layla home, the house felt different. I got a perfunctory cuddle, but Layla took up all her time. One cry from the baby, and Mommy would leave me and go deal with her. I'd missed my Mommy when she'd been in the hospital and expected she'd missed me as well. But now she's back. She seems to keep all her attention on the ugly little thing she'd brought home. It doesn't even look like a girl, and no one would have known had they not dressed her in pink. She doesn't do anything other than sleep or cry. I've tried, but I can't get her to smile, even when I showed her my favorite toy car. Her lip had trembled, and then she'd been screaming again. Come here, son. Daddy's not able to fit all the way behind the couch, so I have to wriggle to get into his arms. His chuckle shows he's not completely angry with me, and his squeeze reminds me I still have at least one person on my side. Your nose has been put all out of the joint since Layla's come home, hasn't it, buddy? Screwing my face up, I touch my nose. But to me, it feels just like it always has. My action makes Daddy's body vibrate once more. Listen to me. Mommy doesn't love Layla more than you, Clark, but Layla's so little. She needs more of her time. I know it's hard for you to understand. Now it's my bottom lip that trembles. I hadn't expected Layla to be so helpless. But Layla can't feed or dress herself, or even use the potty like I can. With his hand on my chin, Daddy turns my head so I have to look into his eyes. You're a big boy, Clark, and you've got a very important job to do. I have? I turn my big, watering eyes up to meet Daddy's. My job is to look after Mommy, and yours is to look out for your sister. You know why, buddy? When my head moves side to side, Daddy's fingers take hold of my chin and keep my face turned to him. Because we're men. We're stronger than they are. Ladies need our protection. Even Mommy? He chuckles softly, especially Mommy. But Mommy's so tough. Mommy rules the house when Daddy is gone. She keeps me safe. So how could she need protecting? Daddy takes my hand and puts it on his arm. I feel his muscles bulge as he flexes them. You'll grow up and have muscles too, buddy. And when a man uses those muscles, he can do a lot of harm. I didn't mean it, Daddy, I cry out, hiccuping on another sob. Even at 4 years old, I knew it hadn't been my finest hour when I'd shouted at Layla and tried to push her out of Mommy's arms. Buddy, you're a big boy now, and boys never, ever hit girls, okay? Women, girls, are there to be cherished, loved, and cared for. He breaks off and gives a little laugh. However annoying they are, you're bigger than Layla now, and you will be all your life. You'll grow up to be stronger as you're a man. It will never be right for you to push, shove, hit, or hurt a girl, okay? You got that, little buddy? My thumb goes into my mouth as I solemnly nod my head. He stares at me for a moment, as though trying to see into my mind. What he sees must satisfy him, as he gives a rise and a dip of his chin. When I'm gone, you'll be the man of the house, and I'm trusting you to take care of both my girls. I fling my little arms around him at the reminder of how short my time is with him. I don't want you to go, Daddy. He kisses the top of my head. I don't want to leave you either. He goes still for a moment, then he shrugs. But I've got to go. Again, he raises my head so I can look into his eyes. I don't want to have to worry while I'm away, so I'm asking you to promise me you'll never, ever hurt your little sister, even if she yanks your chain sometimes. I try to look as intense as a 4-year-old can. I won't, because she's a girl, and boys never, ever hurt girls. He searches my face and then smiles when he's reassured I've taken the message to heart. I'll miss you when I go, he says softly, but I know I won't have to worry about my girls because you'll be looking out for them, won't you, little buddy? I give him the most earnest expression I can. I will, Daddy, but my lip trembles again. Will you hurry home? He sighs and gives me a small, sad shake of his head, the gesture warning me Daddy is leaving and he'll be gone for what seems to a little boy to be a very long time. He's always away more than he's home. Daddy takes my hand, pulls me out from behind the couch, takes a handkerchief out of his pocket, and dries my tears. Then he leads me back to Mommy and Layla. Mommy reaches out her arm and makes room for me alongside the baby, while Daddy looks on proudly and makes a comment about his perfect family. Softly, in a tone meant not for my ears, he tells Mommy he wishes to fuck he didn't have to go. The next morning, Daddy puts on his uniform, grabs his duffel, and says his goodbyes. Before he leaves, he crouches down, shakes my hand, and admonishes me to remember the promises I'd made. Then he hugs me tightly to him, holding on for a few seconds. Make me proud, buddy, he says before pulling away. When he stands and opens the door, I think he's reluctant to go. I don't want him to leave, but something warns me I need to be strong. None of my wishes would magically make him able to stay. So I stand, holding Mommy's hand, and try hard not to cry. In his absence, I would be the man of the house. But Daddy didn't hurry home. He never came back at all. As far as my child's mind could understand, he was killed by a baddie in a faraway war, and as a hero, fighting for his country. Time passed, and our depleted family settled into a routine. Mommy gradually stopped being so sad, and Daddy was no longer part of every conversation. Eventually, the day came when I had difficulty remembering his features anymore, and had to rely on photographs rather than my memory. Layla grew up and was annoying as fuck, always pushing her boundaries, but while my recollections of him had faded, one thing I never forgot. I stayed true to the last promise I'd share with my daddy. However much my sister annoyed me, I always turned the other cheek. She grew to take advantage, pushing her luck, taunting me, safe in the knowledge I'd never fight back. I couldn't. Daddy had asked one thing of me, and that I never could forget. Ladies are to be loved, cherished, and protected. I was determined to live my life honoring the promise I made. I wanted to make my daddy proud. Chapter 1. Roslyn. Misogynistic, chauvinistic, arrogant, obnoxious dick. Throwing myself down on the couch in my dressing room, I feel my hands clenching into fists. Honestly, I could swing for that man. Snorting, my stylist Kylie grins widely. Why not say what you really mean? In a totally adult gesture, I stick out my tongue, causing her to shake her head and laugh. If you feel that strongly, why don't you tell Bart that you don't get on with your bodyguard? It's a sensible suggestion, but raising a hand, I wave it off. I don't have to like him, Kai. Theatrically sighing, she makes a gimme gesture with her hands. Tell me what he's done now. I exhale air in an equally dramatic fashion. He treats me as if I'm stupid. I lean forward. I'm not even sure he likes women. He's gay? Her eyes widen. Fuck no, I scoff. He's a man's man. And not in that way, I add hastily, seeing the beginnings of her grin. It's like he doesn't think I can think for myself. Shaking my head, I continue. It's me who's at risk. Me who my ex wants to hurt. I don't need him dotting the I's and crossing the T's all the time. I know the danger is very real. I pause. Honestly, his attitude makes me want to show him the finger and walk off just to spite him. She rolls her eyes. That would be plain stupid. She doesn't need to see my nod, confirming that I'm very well aware. I think you should talk to Bart. You could grow careless if you just don't trust your bodyguard. But while sometimes I wonder whether Petty really believes there's a crazed man who's got it in for me, I can't fault the way he does his job. I doubt anyone could get past him, and that's the kind of security that I need. I shrug. Though in his mind, the jury's still out on whether the threat is real, he's certainly acting as if it is. What more can I ask? He clearly winds you up. She studies me for a moment after making her observation, but when my shoulders rise and lower dismissively, she goes to the wardrobe and pulls out a dress from the rack. This is what we're going with tonight, isn't it? Nodding at her selection, I tell her, I don't have to get along with my bodyguard. I'm no Whitney. I chuckle at the comparison. As long as he does what he's paid to do, what he thinks or his character shouldn't matter to me. Sitting forward, I sigh. And I'm bringing enough trouble to Bart. He's gone out of his way to organize protection for me. Seems pretty petty. I huff a laugh at the irony of me to complain. Brushing out imaginary creases, Kylie shakes her head. You're his bread and butter, Roslyn. Bart's got a vested interest in you staying happy and healthy. She gives me a serious stare. I know you're in danger, and so does Bart. As if the mention of his name has summoned the devil, a rap pitty tap knock comes at the door. Kylie and I exchange grins when the familiar sound is followed up with, Are you decent in there? Kylie hangs up the dress again and goes over to open the door. Why don't you come in, Bart? Preceded by his middle aged pouch, my 50-something and unashamedly gay manager steps inside the room. Approaching with an assessing look, he crouches in front of me. You holding up okay, Roslyn? Kylie's narrowing eyes find mine and her hands go to her hips. Is there something you should have told me, babe? I grimace. Just more of the same. Strangely enough, I'd have been more upset if my bodyguard hadn't riled me up. My horror at yet another intrusion into my life had been put on the back burner with the comments Petty had made. My stylist stares at me accusingly. Why am I just hearing about this? And what was it this time? Heavy breathing phone call? Mysterious flower delivery? I butt in before she can list everything that's ever happened to me, and in my deepest sympathy card left on my windshield. They're going to have to swap out your rental again. Bart, as usual, focuses on the practicalities. Sitting back on the couch, I fold my arms, again being the operative word. Whatever I do, Bart, he's one step in front of me. It's annoying how clever my ex has become. Though my view is that he made some contacts in jail. He's totally mad, of course. His gifts range from things expressing how much he still loves me to threats about how I'm going to feel when he catches up with me again. I know it's my ex's access to information that draws Petty to think I'm making it all up. When I hire a new car, within days or even hours in some cases, he seems to know exactly what make and model I'm driving. Same with my house. When I moved to evade him, a letter turned up in my new mailbox the very next day. I don't know how he's finding everything out. I'm just worried that he does. Petty said you looked shaken, Bart continues, eyeing me carefully. Petty should mind his own fucking business. I'm fine, I lie. Getting a death threat, which I interpret the card as, is never pleasant. I know the blood had drained from my face when I'd opened the envelope. Carefully, of course, always conscious for fingerprints that my ex has far been too clever to leave. It could only be him, but as far as the police are concerned, they need proof to proceed. I huffed to myself, noting Bart's phrasing. Petty had said I looked shaken. Not that I actually was. Does he think I'm that good of an actor? Mine is the sad, typical story of women who can't see what's in front of their faces. I got into a relationship with a man who seemed so perfect for me, so caring and so loving. I jumped in with both feet. Then I discovered his controlling side and his jealousy. I wasn't buying what he was selling, and the first time he hit me, I called it a day. But women don't walk out on Saul Ranger. As I found to my cost, he followed me, caught me, and beat me up so badly I was in the hospital for a week. It didn't have the desired effect of making me go back to him. Instead, I brought charges and he ended up in jail. And now he's free. He's coming after me for revenge. I'm a no name singer who's been lucky enough to score a residency at a fancy casino in Las Vegas, an opening act for the major stars who the customers really come in to see. But from the day I started 2 months ago, I've had someone stalking me. At first, I just brushed it off, thinking it was probably a fan who had an unhealthy obsession. I'd even been flattered that I was apparently worth so much attention. But then the threats became more pointed and personal. That it coincided with Saul being released was what had alerted me. And I know the type of mental games that he plays. He's taunting me like a cat playing with a mouse, and one day soon, he'll jump in for the kill.